Welcome to episode 12 of the Take Two podcast, where we ask the important question of is the Marvel Cinematic Universe back? I'm Kenny. This is Sam. Sam, how are we doing?
Doing amazing. It is almost 11 at night on Mother's Day, so we are committed as F.
Yeah, we did a lot of celebrating the women and mothers in our lives. So thank you to all moms. Thank you for having us so that we could sit here and have a podcast. It's all because of you,
Yeah,
mom.
look how
Thank you
far
so
we've made
much.
it. Look how far we've made it.
Look at these 18 subscribers that we still have on YouTube. Thank you to our loyal and intimate fan base for checking in. If this is the first time that you're here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. But we are going to jump right on in. Today, we're talking about Thunderbolts, Marvel Cinematic Universe's most recent movie. It is nearing 280,000 or $280 million box office worldwide. It just had a $33 million second weekend. It's doing well. It's critically doing quite well. It's the highest rated Marvel movie since Endgame, and yeah, people are raving about it. People are excited. People are chatting about getting back to the movies. People are going back to the movies, and people are asking, is Marvel back? Is this movie enough to fully bring him back? What do you think?
I think that is the question. Right when I walked out of that theater, I was like, I thought the exact same thing. Are we back? And I will tell you my perspective as a Marvel fan. I am a little bit of a critical Marvel fan at times. I love the good stuff, but I equally, the bad stuff, I trash on. I'm just like, I
Mm-hmm.
will tell you what is good and bad Marvel. Okay.
And there's been a lot of bad
There's been a
recently.
lot of bad. And I will stand on my podium here and say, post Endgame, I recall Disney coming out and showing a giant screen of 30 different titles between movies and TV shows that they had in the works. And I was like, hold up, this is way too much. Everything you're announcing sounds like just secondhand crap. Like nobody wants to
Yeah,
see most of this stuff. And I told
right.
all my diehard Marvel fans, I was like, because they were all on such a high after Endgame. Listen, Endgame was great,
Yeah,
but on such a
me
high,
too.
and they were like, "Oh, we're so excited!" I told every single one of them, "Go, guys, this is not good. They're putting quantity over quality, and they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
just catch lightning in a bottle with one of these things." And
Right.
everything sucked.
Yes.
Virtually everything sucked. Now you can make a case, obviously, for Spider-Man: No Way Home,
Spider-Man.
right? There's a couple in there, but it's hard to even like obviously that's connected to Endgame. It's post Endgame, but it's still following through from pre Endgame, so it doesn't
Right.
truly feel like the post Endgame world and the universe that Disney was trying to push. Right? They were trying to give us all new heroes, all new characters, all new storylines all the time in like phase 4, forget phase 3. We're going where no
Right.
one's gone before, multiverses on multiverses on multiverses. And you thought this character was dead? No, they're back alive. You thought everything mattered in Endgame? No, nothing mattered because multiverses.
Right. And
Great.
that, like, you brought it up, and it's a great point. Like, a peek behind, like, the Hollywood curtain here for a second is right after Endgame is around the time that Disney released Disney Plus. So we're in the midst of COVID. There's like everyone's trying to launch a streaming service. You had Disney Plus, you had Paramount Plus, and you had Max or HBO Max when it was first released happening at the same time. And they were just like, we need content. And so this is when you had WandaVision and Loki coming out. And the first two seasons of that, or the first seasons of those were like pretty good, but then they're like, all right, we're gonna do the Hulk
Oh,
lady show
She-Hulk,
is gonna
attorney at law.
She-Hulk, thank
I
you.
don't
Yeah.
know why that
Yeah,
one didn't work
She-Hulk,
out.
the Marvels, and you're absolutely right. Like their strategy was literally like, okay, we got to keep this momentum going. The shareholders at Disney were like, you want to know what's great? When our graph goes up. We love it when graphs go up. That's what we care about. Make more money, pump the machine, like stifle creativity, and just have all these people pump out as much fodder as possible. And that is basically where we have been for the past what, 3-ish years where so many Marvel movies have been released, so many people have walked away. People are like, I'm not really interested in this. They're tired of it because it was trash. And then I can't remember what movie it was, but Marvel, when they did their, so D23, which is Disney's basically Comic-Con, where they go and they try to like hype a bunch of people up and they bring in a bunch of influencers and say, here's what we're doing. Last year, they're like, hey, we are dialing it way back. Last year, one Marvel movie released. It was Deadpool versus Wolverine. It did incredible in the box office. It wasn't my favorite Deadpool movie, but I still had like a few good laughs. But that year, they're like, we're dialing it way back. We're going back to where we came from. We're starting to like do the reboot, and or we're starting to kind of go back to quality. They made a big push to say, hey, we're going to pump out less content, which they did. And that the last movie that was part of the previous era of let's just create as much content as we could is Captain America Brave New World, which that movie did not do well. Not a lot of people saw it. It didn't do well critically. This movie, Thunderbolts, is the first in their re-release, and it's coming at a time where it's like Disney, just Marvel needs to hit. They need to do well. Everyone is talking about like, oh my gosh, is this an existential crisis for Marvel? And so they need Thunderbolts to hit. It's a huge risk. They're also looking forward to Fantastic Four. Really, that's what they're seeing is like this is either going to be the thing that saves us or it's going to be our swan song.
Fantastic
And
Four never saves anyone. That's why there's been 3 of them in like 15 years.
right, there's a lot of skepticism around it. I personally am like really looking forward to it. I've actually like I don't necessarily think they're good, but like I watched the other Fantastic Four movies growing up, and Fan Four Stick is not very good, but I like the ones with Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. Like
Yes, I
I had a
also
good
like him.
time.
Yeah.
Like there's some nostalgia there, but yeah, they're taking some risks, but they're slowing down. And in my opinion, I think that we can just go ahead and hop right into it.
Yeah, I
But I
think
think
it was a
Marvel's
good preface.
yeah,
I think it's good to understand the context around this movie. So,
yeah,
good preface and yeah.
yeah. So do you want to give us a quick summary of the movie?
Yeah, quick summary, spoiler alert for those who have not seen it. Like obviously you're watching a movie, if you're not going to go see it and you just want the movie review and you want us to explain the movie for you, even better. But
That's
here we
what
go.
we're here for.
Yeah, here we go. So Thunderbolts, or also known sort of as the new Avengers, is
Yeah.
like not formally known, but it's sort of a PR stunt. Like after the film, right? They're ripping off these title and they're calling these people the new Avengers. So great.
Yeah, that's what the asterisk is all about.
Right, that's what the asterisk is all about. And so very cool. The movie opens with Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, and she is the lead in the film. And basically, it's a bunch of misfits throughout the film who have all been bad guys once upon a time in some way, shape, or form. And they're trying to live their lives using the skill sets they have, and they're all working for Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. What a name. Played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And, you know, she's been in a bunch of movies like Wakanda Forever we talked about the other day. And like she's been in the background of a bunch of these movies as a sketchy, power-hungry politician, essentially. And I love her. Like, I've been rewatching Seinfeld in my spare time, but she's amazing and just like nails this role so well. She has amazing screen presence. She keeps the movie going. Like, everything really revolves around her ambition and her corruption and her lack of morals and ethics to try and get what she wants. And that's where the movie starts, right? Is she is being investigated by Congress for all these sketchy experiments she's been doing and to try and create a superhuman. And so she's like, I have to get rid of all my stuff, and they're having all the evidence destroyed, and she ends up sending the people who are destroying all the evidence, right? Yelena, everyone but Winter Soldier at this point, who's now up trying to be a politician, but he's kind of bored by it and things aren't getting done because of all the red tape. Taskmaster, Ghost, John Walker, she sends them all to this place, and it's like a killing floor, and she locks them in. They're basically supposed to kill each other, and if that doesn't get the job done, she's just going to incinerate them. And you're like, they realize they have to work together, like the Thunderbolts, Yelena's Pee Wee soccer team that never won a game. And they're like, okay, we're all damaged people, and I think that's the theme of the movie, but we have a place and we have a connection by being damaged, and we need to come together to, one, get out of this place, which kind of like Avengers, it's kind of a long scene where it's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize this was going to go on for so long, like them trying to escape from this thing, but it works and it's fun. And eventually they get out. As they get out, and while they're in there, they discover Bob, aka Sentry, who, aka the Void. The dude has a million names. He also looks like Tom Holland's cousin, but like taller and looks a little weird. I kept being like, that's Tom Holland. I was touching
Bob
the guy.
Asterisk.
I was touching the guy next to me. I was like, that's Tom Holland. He's like, shut up. He's like, that is not Tom Holland. I was like, it's Tom Holland. He's playing two roles like RDJ. He's playing Doom, like an Iron Man. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, turns out it's not.
Everyone's copying Michael B. Jordan now.
Yeah. Everyone's playing two roles. Well, there's Michael B. Jordan again, right? He was in Fantastic Four, and then he was also in Black Panther. So they just, oh yeah, only you can play this role, and only you can, I won't go on. But anyways, we discover Bob. Bob has been experimented on by Valentina, and all the other trials killed everyone except for Bob. Bob survives. He is like stronger than Superman. He is basically invincible. And the problem is, so he gets separated from the others, but they kind of form a friendship before they're separated. And Valentina manipulates him and is like, hey, you're going to be a star. I believe in you. Here's the catch with Bob is he has a really tough past with an abusive dad and troubled upbringing, seems to suffer from a lot of like deep depression and anxiety and self-confidence issues. And he's really unstable. And maybe that's one of the reasons the experiment even worked on him. But it created this almost monster to an extent where once he's unleashed towards the middle to end of the film, you don't know like if he's gonna be a good guy, a bad guy. And when he slips into the bad side, that's when the Void comes out and all hell breaks loose. And he basically is like annihilating everyone in New York City into their own nightmarescapes, where they're reliving the worst parts of their lives, their worst memories over and over again. It's actually it's pretty cool. It's really powerful. And so Bob goes haywire and the Thunderbolts all break up. But about 10 minutes later, they all come back together and they help Bob. They don't defeat Bob. They help Bob to pull himself out, find his good side. And then he releases everybody and they're all back to normal. Bob doesn't remember any of it because Bob goes into these blackouts that he's had since he was a kid. So really like an interesting villain. Again, it's like, who's the real villain in this movie? It's really Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. She's like very, very evil. But she's also so conniving that even at the end of the movie, when they all get together and they're like, let's go arrest Valentina, she has planned a whole press op for this and has pivoted so many times. And they walk through and she goes, oh, here's our heroes. And they can't say anything in public. And because all they want to do is be heroes because they've been bad guys forever, but they've all come from tough situations and they're ready to be the good guys. And they come out and she introduces, here are the new Avengers. And they're like, okay, we will be the new Avengers. We have our eye on you because you did all this and you're super evil, but that's kind of where the movie ends. And that's the movie in a nutshell. And it's quick. Yeah. It's like 2 hours. It feels tight. I don't feel like it overstays its welcome. And there's the summary. So I'll take a deep breath and Kenny, give me your thoughts.
Yeah. So several things is, I think to a lot of your points, the question of who the villain is, whether it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus or if it's Bob, is really interesting. I think that it's one of the better jobs. I think that we talked about it last episode, where Marvel is known for, like, studios in general for having very, very good heroes, but maybe the villains aren't as strong. This is definitely a movie where, like, the villain nature is very, very strong. I went into this movie a little bit apprehensive because the Thunderbolts are Marvel's Suicide Squad, and I did like the second, like the Suicide Squad movie made by James Gunn, but the other ones is like, oh my gosh, like you can see that this can go super far south. And also, I frankly have, except for Bucky, I have basically no connection to any of these other characters.
Right.
Like, I couldn't even remember what movies Ghost and Taskmaster
Same.
came from.
I was
I had
like, oh.
remembered, I remember Yelena and the Red Guardian from Black Widow, and I'd watched Falcon versus Winter Soldier, so I knew who U.S. Agent was. But I'm like, I really don't care about any of these
I
characters. So
felt
I
the
came
same
in
way.
super apprehensive, but I actually think that they used that to the benefit of the movie, because it's like, hey, we are taking people who aren't really well known and they're a blank slate, and we can kind of use them as we see fit. Like, the Thunderbolts is an established, like, comic group, but we're kind of going to piece these together. We're going to take these people that we don't necessarily care about, and, like, we're going to have them work together, and you're going to kind of see the damaged people come together in order to create a team, which is always, like, a very effective motif. And then also, and like, introducing Bob into the storyline is very interesting, like the Void, Sentry, whoever you want to call him, because you're asking yourself, like, oh my gosh, this guy, and they use this phrase a lot in the movies, he is unstable, like, because he's had a super traumatic past. Like you said, he does deal with a lot of mental health issues. He has this thing where, like, he says in the movies he has these super high highs where he feels invincible, and then followed by deep, deep lows, and then he'll, like, black out after just really, really dark episodes. And you see that actually reflected in Sentry. And the creation of Sentry, I think, was really interesting because it's harkening all the way back to the first Avenger. It's harkening all the way back to Captain America, where it's that conversation that I can never remember the name of the scientist in Captain America, like the Polish guy, who is talking to Steve Rogers at the very beginning. He's like, this serum does not make you different than you already are. It enhances what is already within you.
Mm.
And this is like, this is something that's really interesting that they continue to tie back in with. Almost most Marvel movies kind of have this idea of, it is about what is within you already. And, like, your superhero is just going to, your superpower is just going to enhance that. And in this case, he had a lot of trauma and a lot of unresolved things, as well as just other mental health issues that were then, you know, expanded. They were uh, exaggerated in this form. And that final sequence with all of the characters kind of going into their mind, Yelena chasing down Sentry, not to defeat him, but to help him, because she runs into Bob, and then Bob has to go and face the Void. He has to go face his, like, dark self. And there's this scene where he's just, like, pummeling his dark self, and by doing that, by, like, bringing aggression to himself, he's not resolving anything. He's not accepting that part of him. And that's kind of like the mental health story that this movie is trying to say, is like, hey, Bob needs to show grace to himself here, and, like, understand that this is a part of him. Like, you can't stifle it, you can't defeat it. You have to, like, understand how to work together with it. It's kind of like that internal systems thing that they sometimes talk about. Like, if you've ever gone to therapy, sometimes they'll, like, talk about that. And it's,
Me, no, I don't believe in therapy. But
oh
oh
no,
yeah, what I
I'm
will say,
a big therapy guy over
no,
here.
no, what I will say to go off that, Kenny, because I think you make a great point, is um I was also apprehensive going into this movie because of all the crap Marvel had put out. And I watched, when I went to see Sinners, I watched the trailer for this movie, and I was like, Yelena, I don't know who that is. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to deal with this accent the entire time. I thought the acting just in the trailer looked really corny. I was like, gosh, this is gonna be the most forgettable movie ever. But we said, okay, it's doing decent. I'm gonna go watch it. And I was so pleasantly surprised the entire time. And to go back what you're saying, the theme of this movie really is sort of mental health, right? And how to get over grief and the past, right? A quote from the film: "The past doesn't go away, so you can either live with it forever or do something about it." And I am super critical. I can't stand when things are like, I feel like Marvel went down a really woke path for a long time. Like She-Hulk, attorney at law, and like every joke is at a guy's expense, and just everything is just like it just felt ridiculous. I didn't feel an ounce of wokeness in this movie, and I absolutely loved it. And I think the theme of mental health is universal. And I think that's maybe what Disney needs to get back to, is as finding the themes like you were talking about original Marvel. Think all the way back to Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. I got to get that reference in. Is like you said, the powers that Marvel characters often get, they are enhancing who you are, right? And it's running into these universal themes. And I really feel like post Endgame, they lost a lot of those universal themes. I felt like Disney was kind of puffing their chest out saying, we did Endgame, we can now do whatever we want. And people were like, no, like that's not the case. Like, if you're making something bad, if you're making something woke, like it's gonna get rejected by fans. And we're gonna know the difference when we're being preached at or talked down to, rather than here to be entertained and enjoy something that you're giving us. So just wanted to point that out. Like, props to them for, like, I feel like getting on course here. So can continue on if you had anything else to say before I go on more rants.
Yeah, I think that for this movie, I saw it this last weekend. I've been kind of mulling on it for a week, and ultimately, I think my gut tells me I kind of have gone back and forth on the rating a little bit.
Me
but
too.
I think I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. The reason why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 is I think that this is the best thing that Marvel has put out, and probably at least that I have seen in 3 years. There have been admittedly Marvel movies that it used to be pre-Endgame. I saw everything in theaters. I was one of the first people to see it. Like, I am a huge fan of this IP. Like, I have encyclopedias of
You've
Marvel
got tattoos.
comics. Yeah, I wish I did, but I don't. I should.
He does. He's lying. Back twos. He's got a back tattoo.
I got a tramp stamp of the Hulk smash.
Of Marvel Lady or whatever, the least cool character. What's that chick's name?
Oh, Ms. Marvel.
Ms. Marvel's so lame. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
But I think that the reason, like, there's two things. I do think Julia Louis-Dreyfus is great in this movie, or Allegra de Fontaine is good in the movie.
Fontaine, yes. Sorry,
yeah, she is. My whole thing is, like, I didn't actually, even though I think her performance was good, I was like, she is just playing her character in Veep. I don't know if you've seen Veep.
Yeah, I've seen some of Veep. Yeah,
it's the same. Her character is the same. She's just like a corrupt and ambitious politician who's just trying to, like, gain more and more power. And Veep, even though I can understand why people really like it and really think that it's good, it just was not a show for me. And so there was an essence where, like, she was charming, and I appreciate that she was, like, a very, like, interesting villain, and I do think that her interaction with Bob was really, really powerful, but she actually kind of detracted a little bit for the movie from me, even though I think that she did a great job with what she was given. The other thing that I think I've kind of docked it for, and it's something that I feel like I need to mull over it a little bit and kind of see where Marvel is going to go, is it because my expectations for this movie, and this is a question I'll have for you.
I would love this question aimed at me, because I will tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is this like, are we so pleasantly surprised with this movie because we just expected so little from it? Like, I had heard rumblings that it might be, like, really good, and I love Florence Pugh. I love a lot of these actors. You love
Florence Pugh?
Okay. Well, yeah, I do actually. I think I'm trying to think of
what do you like? What do you like her in?
I like her in Little Women. I think that she's very compelling in Little Women. I actually like her as Princess Irulan in Dune, even though that's a pretty short thing. I've liked her in this role in Black Widow. I think that she's pretty funny in this role. What else have I seen her in?
So I've seen her in.
Was she in another?
I've seen her in Midsommar. I've seen her in Fighting with My Family. Those are, like, the main ones I know her from. Obviously Dune or whatever, but those two where she's, like, leads in is where I know her from.
Yeah, I haven't seen those two, so that's kind of like a gap in my knowledge. But I think that I think that she's great. David Harbour, obviously from the
Stranger Things.
Thank you, Stranger Things, and then Sebastian Stan. I mean, I know him as Bucky Barnes. That's just how I know him. But all like they're all really good. But to circle back, it's late. Sorry, focus.
Focus, Getty.
My question to you is: do you feel like you are giving this movie an edge in terms? Well, first off, what's your rating? And second off, is your rating being impacted by being this pleasantly surprised by the movie?
That is a great question. So, oh geez, hold on 1 second. Sorry, short pause.
It's okay. I can vamp. But yeah, I think this movie was interesting because I think a lot of people, like, I had a lot of doubts about it. I had a few people like on Twitter or that I talked to were like, oh wait, no, I'm actually really excited about Thunderbolts and they kind of like filled me in on the background of, hey, like this is like Marvel, this is the first movie in like the restructured Marvel and the slowed down Marvel. It could be really good. A lot of people had some hopes, but I was just like, I've been so skeptical about this.
Okay,
but
I got you. Yeah. Here we go. What this question I've been thinking about to myself all week is I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. And I find it very interesting because do you remember what other movie I gave a 7.5 out of 10 that we recently reviewed?
Sinners.
That would be Sinners. And it's very difficult because when I rate movies, I'm rating them within their category, right? Mm-hmm. So if I were to put obviously Sinners side by side with this movie, Sinners cinematography, writing, so much of that, but I thought Sinners fell short of the hype. I thought it felt short for being a horror movie. I thought it felt short for people saying this is the best movie made in 5 years. Like everyone and their mother has been like I even saw the Critical Drinker, who I like. He's got a big personality, and he was like, and a huge, like one of the biggest followings for film critics or whatever. And he was getting hammered by people because he wouldn't make a review about Sinners. And he was like, yeah. And he had gone on X, he'd gone wherever, he talked about it a bunch and been like, it's great, go see it. And like people were like, you have to say Sinners is the greatest movie ever. And he ended up having to like go make a video and be like, okay. And even like him and anyone who gets that famous over time, once enough pressure comes on them, they're like, I'll do what you say. Just like let me like be famous still. And
get off my back, I'll make the video.
Yes, exactly. And so I thought that was really interesting. Is like Sinners, all the pressures coming from everywhere being like, you have to love this movie. And the opposite felt like for this movie. It's like you said, low expectations coming in, and they completely exceeded my expectations. So it's funny. It ends up at a 7.5 for me. Sinners ends up at a 7.5, and for different reasons, right? One underperformed in my mind, one overperformed. And I think I'm watching this movie and I'm saying to myself, Lauren doesn't like Marvel. She doesn't like superhero stuff. But I'm watching this movie saying, I think she would enjoy this movie. I think most people would enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I will say, Florence Pugh, even though I'd seen her in a few films, I couldn't have told you what they were before watching this. And she crushes it. She's fantastic in this movie. And she carries the weight of a lead very well in this movie. And complete opposite of like a Miss Marvel and like what we were talking about, right? Everything Phase 4 has been a lot of like female empowerment, like characters that can never fail, a lot of Mary Sue characters. And she's like, the reason she's so relatable is she's like vulnerable for someone who's also like a BA, you know what I mean?
Right.
So
totally, like there's that scene with her and her dad, right?
Great
and she
scene.
Like she breaks down and she's like, I am so alone. And like, but it's that loneliness that kind of like then motivates her and it drives her. It's like, no, I'm gonna go, and I'm not gonna go defeat Bob. I'm gonna go rescue Bob. You know, because she's like, he needs to know that he's not alone, because like Red Guardian reminds Yelena, like, you're not alone. Like, I haven't been the best dad, but like I'm here now. Like, let's make this work now. And there's just like really like it's exactly what you're saying. It's like this really beautiful, vulnerable moment of like, that's what we're looking for.
And I will tell you, like maybe you'll go back one day and take a look at this, but some Marvel films, even like I watched the first episode of Loki and I thought the writing was awful. I thought the second Spider-Man film, Far From Home, I thought the writing was awful. And I thought the writing in this was on point. I'm there trying to nitpick for the podcast and for my own. I can't even turn it off. I can't turn my nitpicking off. And I'm watching this and I'm just like, I'm enjoying this. Now, I'll say if I'm nitpicking, like John Walker, his acting is in and out at times, like for like hitting. And I'd say it gets better as it goes along. I think at the beginning, there's a few times where I'm like, this guy's like not fully hitting his lines, but I think he comes into his character as it goes along. Bucky is awesome. He slays. Like he just has awesome screen presence. Like ever since Winter Soldier, he's just been like, if he's like, who doesn't like Bucky? Bucky's freaking awesome, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think Ghost is kind of, I would say, the most forgotten in this film. She's kind of just like very bland. I don't think the actress does a whole lot to like bring her to life. And then Red Guardian, like you said, played by David Harbour. His character could have bombed, but he actually brings the life to the movie when it needs it most. He sort of rescues this film with some comedy, with some energy, and he's awesome. So, I will say this. It feels like, and it's funny that they call it the new Avengers, and it really feels like scuffed Avengers, but it works. It's not to the level that Avengers is at, and they know it, but they plan it well, right? Throughout the film, it's like, oh, we got to do something. Oh, none of us have flying powers. That's not good. Or we're all only good with guns, like, and fighting. That's our thing. Like those are our superpowers. Like, and so they address it without beating it over the head. And I really left feeling like I enjoyed that film, and like if it were to I would recommend that to somebody. And I can't say that about almost any Marvel film, Phase 4 and beyond. And I could recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And I know. I'm trying to like think of things that I would nitpick more. The Ghost is terrible, actually. Like I would say that like I can't think of another thing I've seen that actress in, but she was either like done a disservice or she's not very good. I don't really know. I haven't like run into her as much in my film.
They were like, who's
TV
worse,
watching.
Ghost or Taskmaster? Fight to the death. Oh, you get shot in the head. Okay, I guess we'll take you along.
Yeah, like I at least remembered seeing Ghost in a movie. When Taskmaster showed up, I was like who? I don't even know who this is. Like I either missed the movie or I forgot the movie. I was like, I don't know who this is. I straight up don't know who this is. So I actually kind of laughed when they offed that person right away. But I think that you're bringing up a great point too about the movie is like, I don't think that this is how the movie was written, but there is a read on this movie that is like a meta commentary on Marvel in general, to where they're calling it the new Avengers almost in jest, to say like, hey, like, you have been so focused for the past 15 years or whatever, 10 years about the story of the Avengers. And we're saying, hey, the spirit of the Avengers are going to live on, but it's going to look different. It's kind of like saying, all right, get ready for something new. Get ready for, I'm like hesitant to say smaller, because the amount of marketing cash that they are just like pummeling into Fantastic Four is like, hey, this is like, they want this to be the movie of the summer. Like they are
Fantastic
competing
Four
with
feels
Superman.
like the headliner, right? And this is the opening act, is what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that there's an interesting read on that movie, to where it's just like, hey, like we don't have any powers, we don't have any wings. Like, what are we supposed to expect? Are we supposed like the people in the movie are underestimated, just like we're underestimating Marvel. And Marvel, if you did that on purpose, like, well done. That was like really that was interesting. Like, I kind of hope that you did, because it's very interesting, it's very self-aware.
Kenny, you compared it to Suicide Squad, which makes a lot of sense. Like you said, it's the Marvel version of Suicide Squad. The first Suicide Squad was awful, and I know a lot of people liked the second one. I'm a DC guy, and I didn't really like the second one at all. I thought this film crushed both of those. I thought this film was much more enjoyable. I personally, and I won't go on too much of a rant because it's like about Thunderbolts, but I thought the reboot of Suicide Squad by James Gunn, It felt to me like all they did was take a PG-13 rating, get rid of it, put an R rating on there, and be like, well, it's for adults, and we're just gonna be like really brash and violent with everything and really over the top. And like, I liked it more, but like I walked away from this like just enjoying it a lot. So
Yeah.
funny how two 7.5 films can feel differently in a
Yeah.
few weeks between Sinners and this, right? And God
Right.
forbid anyone ever hears me compare Thunderbolts with an asterisk to Sinners, but within their respective categories, I think they do land in that 7 to 8 range,
Yeah.
respectively. So
Yeah. I gave both of these movies the same rating. And that's like,
that's how I
I mean,
felt.
that's something to like consider. Like, we talk about like, hey, just like be awake, think about these things when you're watching them. It's like, hey, the reality is, even when you're looking on Rotten Tomatoes or you're looking at IMDb, these movies are just rated on different scales, and that is okay. Like
Mhm.
when we were watching Sinners, when we were watching like a seminal film creator like Ryan Coogler go to work, the reality is the bar is higher for
Yes.
him. Like, and you're going to rank accordingly and you're going to curve accordingly, and that's fine. It's also okay to understand that Thunderbolts and Sinners is apples and oranges. Like
Yes.
you're not actually comparing the two. And so for
I'll,
people who are going out and rating and they're looking at, their letterbox, like, oh my gosh, like Thunderbolts is or is like 3.7 stars on letterbox. And, uh, I haven't checked on Sinners recently, but I'm sure it's probably like 4.5 because no one's allowed to dislike or like only kind of like
it
Sinners.
has to be your favorite movie, Kenny. Have you seen it
Yeah, I
twice
know.
in theaters?
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, I've
That's the
literally invested
vibes.
all of my money into, Sinners physical media when it comes out.
Oh, good. The last thing that really, it's hard. Like I was really hoping to come with some hate and some fury from this movie, but I really enjoyed it. The last thing, because Marvel's been such a disaster, it's fun to poke fun at, but it was good. So what do you want me to say? The
Right.
last thing I'll say is I'll compare this to, you and me will get into this another day, but probably my third favorite Star Wars film, Rogue One. I love Rogue One, and Rogue One felt like this. Now, I think Rogue One is on another tier beyond this movie. Like, I think it is freaking unbelievable. Like, will leave you shook. Where this movie's gonna leave you feeling like satisfied. Uh, it does remind me of that though, where it's not the story we were expecting, not one we
Hmm.
asked for, but the one we got at a
The
time
one we
when
needed.
the one we needed, when it felt like we needed it most, even though we didn't deserve it. And so, for those of you wondering, where's this movie at? It kind of feels like Rogue One to me. Not as serious, not as heavy as Rogue One, not as cinematography, not as artsy as Rogue One. Um, but something like that with a misfit band going to do something to save people, and not even knowing if they're going to be remembered for it. So that's the last
Hmm.
comparison I have. And other than that, honestly, is it my last question, Kenny? Serious question. Is this worth seeing in theaters to you?
Oh man, that's a good question. I actually do think that when I think of seeing something in theaters, I think about like how much the sound is going to impact you, how much like the visuals are going to affect you. This movie is not the most like visually impactful movie, with the exception of I was very much moved is the wrong word, but very much impressed by the voids CGI, like where like it hits a person and it's just
Yes,
like ashes.
that
Like
was
it,
very cool. Yeah.
it's like that's very cool. That sound effect is very cool. Um, I also just want people to go to the movies. I just like really,
What have
and
we learned, Kenny?
this
What
is a
have we
great
learned?
movie to people
Movies,
just
people will go to the movies if there are movies worth seeing. That is what
yes.
we're learning from this year. America's back, and we want our good movies. And if it's good, if you build it, they will
They will.
come. Shout
Yeah,
out Field of Dreams.
well done. Field of Dreams, like the third shout out in a row on this podcast for Field of Dreams.
Sorry.
Unbelievable.
Gotta.
But yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay.
You should go, because this is a great popcorn flick. Period. Go see this. Go see this movie in the theaters. It's not going to hit you the same. You're not gonna have as much fun, in my opinion, if you were to just see it on streaming.
I am on the fence about it. I would say, like you said, there's really nothing visually, sound, cinematography wise where I don't feel like I needed to see it in theaters. But like, I if I had to pick yes or no, can you wait on this? I would say yes, but I would also say you gotta watch it. So when it comes out on Disney Plus in a month and a half, 2 months, whatever, like it should be top of your queue list. And you should watch it and you should focus. It shouldn't just be on in the background like freaking Madam Web or something. Okay. However, if you are needing to go see a movie or you wanting to go see a movie, you are not gonna feel like you wasted your money. So
Right.
What do we got? Kenny gave it an 8. I give it a 7. Averages to a 7.5. Same with Sinners for us. And or I guess our Sinners was 7.75.
You gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, so 2 thumbs up from the Take Two podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed the deep dive review. We are going to be sorry for the delay. It was busy. It was a busy week and Mother's Day and everything like that. But we have plans and we're hopefully going to get an in-person episode. Me and Kenny, same screen. You can compare our heights and hair width and beard depth in person. So anything else you want to say to our 100,000 fans?
Yeah, the only other thing that I would say about going to the theaters is consider going to the theaters like a vote, right? Let your voice be heard. Go and see movies that are actually good in theaters and let Hollywood know what the people want to see. So other than that, the modern day Siskel and Ebert gives this movie 2 thumbs up. And to our loyal and intimate fan base,
Like, sub, and comment. Bye-bye.